A Georgia cold case from 1895, June 28, 1895. Gordon Springs, Georgia. A young widow named Mollie Houston leaves home with a bucket of buttermilk and berries. She walks a familiar path through the wooded hills, a trail she's traveled many times before. By nightfall, she will never return home alive. Her death will shock the small rural community, spark fear and outrage, and leave behind a haunting question that has lingered for over a century. Who killed Mollie Houston? Mollie E.A. Jones Houston was born on September 28, 1866 in Georgia. By her late 20s, she had already endured loss. Her husband had died a few years earlier, leaving her a widow. She moved back in with her father, Reverend Ransom Jones, near Gordon Springs. By all accounts, she was a respected, well-liked young woman, someone whose life revolved around her close-knit family and the rhythms of rural life. On the afternoon of June 28, 1895, Mollie set out for a simple errand. She carried a bucket of buttermilk and some berries, bound for a nearby store. It was a trip she had made many times without concern. But this time, she never arrived. As the sun sank lower in the sky, Reverend Jones began to worry. He had promised to meet his daughter along the trail and walk her home, but she had left earlier than expected. He retraced her route, calling her name. Then, just a few paces away, he found her. She lay on the ground, lifeless. Her skull had been crushed by a heavy stone. The scene bore signs of a violent struggle: broken brush, disturbed earth, and the scattered contents of her basket. The sight left him in unimaginable grief and horror. His daughter had been murdered, her life taken in an act of brutal violence. News spread quickly through the rural community. Neighbors formed search parties, combing the woods for any trace of the killer. The murder shocked the region, and in the climate of the 1890s South, suspicion quickly turned into accusation. Some pointed fingers at unknown travelers passing through. Others whispered about local feuds. Theories were plentiful, facts were scarce. An article decades later in the Walker County Messenger described how law enforcement struggled to assemble a clear case. At the time, forensic science was almost non-existent. Without eyewitnesses, the investigation leaned heavily on speculation. In the absence of answers, rumors grew into legend. Despite the community's outrage, no one was ever formally convicted of the murder. Time passed, and the story of Mollie Houston's death faded from headlines, becoming part of local lore. Her gravestone stands today, a simple marble marker inscribed with her name, birth, and death dates. It's a quiet monument to a life cut short and a case left unsolved. More than a century later, the question remains: who killed Mollie Houston? Was it a random act of violence? A crime of opportunity? Or something far more personal? Without new evidence, we may never know the truth. But remembering her story keeps the mystery alive and honors the young woman whose life and death left a permanent mark on the hills of Gordon Springs. Because some questions echo through history.